Turn to Amber Phillips, staff writer for the Washington Post. Amber, good morning.
Hey, good morning.
So it has been a stunning repudiation of the America First doctrine, as Errol points out this week. President Trump has taken a remarkably hawkish stance on a number of situations around the globe.
Yeah.
To what degree do you think that this is a meaningful change of heart? To what degree is it circumstance and whim?
We're trying to figure that out. I think the president has made very clear from the very beginning that all his policies are up for negotiation. And so it feels like, you know, whenever that policy is being negotiated, whoever is in the room with him and has the best argument is the one he's going to go with. I'll give you an example. You know, he met with the Chinese president this week, and then he came out and said, oh, China's no longer a currency manipulator, like a huge flip-flop. I don't think the president has some grand plan to try to moderate toward the middle. If he did, he would have done that during the campaign. In fact, he tried to do that and it didn't work, right? He kept pivoting back to his base. So I think this is just him trying to figure himself out, trying to figure his administration out, and being more open than other politicians, other presidents.
To complete reversals.
Complete reversals,
so
and just be okay with it.
How does that play with his base then, though, at this point?
So far, they're okay with it, right? I'll give you the example of Syria. Trump, during the campaign, mentioned bombing ISIS, yes, but he said he kind of wanted to stay out of Syria as recently as last week. Then they bombed them. A Washington Post ABC News poll said 84% of Republicans approved of that. By contrast, in 2013, when President Obama was considering bombing Syria, 22% of Republicans approved of that.
But do you think there's a lesson there about Trump's base, that they're less concerned with foreign policy and it's really the domestic agenda that they want to see untouched in terms of Trump's campaign promises?
Yep.
And if he pivoted on some of his positions on trade or the economy, that would resonate more with his base?
Yeah, that remains to be seen, right? Because he hasn't yet pivoted on those to the degree he has on foreign policy.
Well, but if we're talking about the ascendant wings in the White House, and let's talk about that a little bit. Gary Cohn, one of his advisors, seems to be a Senate. He's a former Goldman Sachs person. Is it your sense that he's going to be moderating the president on a host of issues, including domestic ones? It
certainly seems like has a rising influence in the White House this week, just given Trump's moderation toward foreign policy in general. I think Gary Cohn aligns with the president in the sense that he's not ideological. Again, he's a New York guy. He has said, I'm not a Democrat, I'm not a Republican, I just want to make deals. And Trump can kind of jive with that. He's not ideological either.
There's been a lot of talk about a possible shakeup in the White House this week, that Steve Bannon has been marginalized. Where does that stand at the end of the week?
Sure, we're trying to figure it out.
There is
always a shakeup in the White House,
Yes.
I feel like. And listen, all administrations have their drama, but this seems more dramatic than normal. It feels like Trump put Steve Bannon on a warning notice by giving an interview to New York media earlier this week by saying, oh, that Steve guy, he came on late in my campaign. I'm my own strategist. I mean, a lot of Bannon types in the White House feel like that was a warning shot to Bannon, that Trump isn't feeling his sort of ideological firebrand, go get 'em, you know, kind of vibe, like with the travel ban that got rolled out didn't go very well. Steve Bannon's off the National Security Council. This could be a sense that Trump just doesn't like Steve Bannon at this moment. I'll also add that our Washington Post White House team has reported his family doesn't like Steve Bannon, the Jared Kushner.
And that's an important thing in this Trump White House. Steve Bannon does not have a lot of allies inside 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, and that could prove critical. Amber Phillips from the Post, thanks as always.
Thank you.